Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And we hope you are having a wonderful holiday season. We have finished covering all of the non-Hallmark Christmas movies. We ended up, I think, with 6 episodes of those. So we covered quite a variety and quite a few movies over this season. So let us know what were your favorites. And today we are going to be talking about our top 5. So this might not be a super long episode. We'll see how long we go. Our top 5 for non-Hallmark Christmas. Normally we do a top 10, but I just didn't have that many that I was super excited about. So we're going with a top 5. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle's here.
Hey everyone.
And Terry's here.
Hi.
Yeah. So you both agreed that non-Hallmark was kind of rough it was not
It
the
was
strongest
rough, yes.
this
Yeah.
season. I think it was probably partly because of the strike. There just wasn't as much like good material to go off of this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's my hope, at least, is that was the reason. So yeah, like I said, this might not be that long of an episode. We might just make it like a bonus. We'll see. We'll just see.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
But let's dive in. Terry, what do you have at number 5?
I am going to pick, my number 5 is, oh my gosh, my thing just, hold on. B.B. Williams, We Three Kings.
Well, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is a Lifetime movie. I think Lifetime had really 2 good Christmas movies this year. And I picked this one because I did love the sister dynamic of this movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very believable but not over, because it's a melodrama, but not overwrought with it. And I just like this family coming together, and I like the performances, and I just thought overall it was a good cast, and I enjoyed the music of it. I thought it was a very well put together, and
Yeah, I liked that one too. Maybe that one is my favorite Lifetime.
Yeah, I can totally. Yeah.
That one and Christmas in the Spotlight were the best, I think, from Lifetime, but it wasn't their best year. It was weak. So, oh well, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I liked the sister dynamic in this as well, and all the music, great. So yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fighting.
And that did not annoy me, because sometimes a lot of fighting can annoy me, but I was like, no, I get it. You gotta hash everything out.
It can just kind of stress me out, but it was pretty good. Michelle, what do you have at 5?
At 5, I'm going to go with That Christmas, which is the animated movie from Netflix. I don't think Netflix really had like a bad movie this year. I feel like they did really well, and a nice variety as well.
It was a pretty good slate, yeah.
Yeah. I really liked the sister storyline in this. I thought it worked really well. I thought the animation was beautiful.
Yeah.
And especially I think just for me, just not having like a big animated film from Disney this year, it really like won for me. I think having this one was a nice surprise. But yeah, I really liked it. I really like this one. I don't know if it's going to become like a annual watch, but certainly this year I definitely think it was like cream of the crop. Like,
Yeah,
in terms of
it was
animation.
really good. I have it at 6, so it's I guess
Mhm.
an honorable
I just missed
mention.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, just missed out. The animation, the different stories, it was
Mm-hmm.
very sweet, and so I enjoyed that. Yeah, my other honorable mention is I had a sprinkle of Christmas
Yeah.
at
That
7
was
because
good.
I thought that was pretty well done. The banter between the two of them, and the whole dynamic of they don't know that they're falling for each other starts out like it captured a like internet negative feedback and that like back and forth and commenting and stuff like that like pretty well and made it charming. So that would be my other honorable mention. But my number 5 is one we actually just talked about on the other podcast, but my number 5 is The Night Before Christmas in Wonderland. The animation, how fresh it was, how inventive, sweet. The songs were pretty good. Yeah, that's where I have it right now at 5. So what do you have at 4, Terry?
I'm fine. My number 4 is Nugget is Dead. A
Oh
Christmas
yeah.
story. I saw this on CBS. It's an Australian movie.
Oh yeah, I remember you
And just
telling
it's
us about
bonkers
that.
enough. It's like a dysfunctional family holiday. But I didn't know how much I needed to see this dysfunction because they're a functional dysfunctional,
Yeah.
in Australia and stuff. But I think it was just bonkers and weird and crazy things happen and how that lady ends up in an eye patch and she hates her family, but is her family really terrible or is it just her that's really terrible? And there's so many shenanigans. And yeah, it does involve like a pet being ill and potentially dying and stuff. But everything that happens around that is pretty funny. I was entertained by it.
Yeah. That I forgot about that, but yeah, I missed that, but it sounded pretty good. What about for you, Michelle? What's your number 4?
My number 4 is The Night Before Christmas in Wonderland.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I really loved this. I thought the animation was
Mhm.
worked really well, especially for never having seen that type of animation before. I thought the dialogue, the rhyming dialogue, was really smart and fun and different.
Yeah.
The songs were really catchy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like a total win, this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my number 4 is Where I Have a Hot Frosty. I just
Mhm.
thought it was like funny. I like the fish out of water kind of comedic elements. Sort of the later half of it when it starts to get too sincere and like dramatic, it wasn't quite as good, but I still overall I had a fun time with it, and it was nice to see Lacey doing this Netflix movie, and it just made
Mhm.
me laugh enough that I enjoyed it for what it was. Uh, Terry, what do you have at 3?
At 3 I have A Christmas Spotlight from Lifetime.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
because I didn't get to watch any of the Netflix movies this year, so I had like less non-Hallmark. But I just love the fact that this is the perfect way. They perfectly did fan fiction right with,
Yeah.
Mhm.
what's her face?
Taylor
I
Swift.
just
Yeah.
blanked on her name. Oh my God, my eyes went real wide when I
Yes,
went, what's her
Swifties are
face?
coming for us again.
I can't believe it. Like my eyes went real wide, Rachel, when I couldn't remember her name. Yeah, Taylor Swift
But
and
it really,
the football
movie
guy,
was
whatever
way
his name is.
better than it had any right to
It
be.
had
Yeah.
exactly, and
Yeah,
it
he was
was
so
like,
good.
Yeah.
yeah, I can't believe it. And I was like, this is going up high on my list, and I couldn't believe it. But it is what you want. Like if you're going
Mhm.
to like write something inspired by this romance, whether it
Mhm.
lasts or not. This is the type of like fan fiction and inspiration. I mean that all in a good way that you
Yeah.
want to do. And so
Yeah.
kudos for Lifetime on cashing in on that.
Yeah. Irene Donahue, she did the script. I interviewed her, and she elevated this thing a
Yeah.
lot.
Mhm.
A lot, a lot. And you can tell she has like a genuine love for Taylor, and she's a big super fan. And but it was cheesy in all the right kind of ways. Like you don't tune in to a movie like this expecting like high drama. You expect like a
Yeah.
campy, kind of silly romance, and that's what you get.
Mhm.
for here.
Yeah.
So that's a good pick. What do you have at 3, Michelle?
At 3, it's kind of hard to pick between 2 and 3, but I went with Carry On. I just thought this was like
Mm.
action packed, so fun. Really different for obviously Christmas because it is just set at Christmas. It's not Christmas themed or anything like that. I thought the action set pieces were really good. I thought Taron Egerton is perfectly cast in this as well. Yeah, I think this will become like a yearly tradition of watching this, and I hope that they make a sequel.
That's cool. Yeah, I definitely have to check that out.
Mhm.
My number 3 is where I have the Simpsons special. Oh, come on, all you faithful. I thought this was very strong from the Simpsons, and particularly to have Ned Flanders going through this faith crisis and the whole town of Springfield kind of rallying around to help him so that he snaps out of it was just very endearing, very well done, and it just I found it quite moving. You don't expect to have that emotion for The Simpsons, but it was just I thought it was very well done, and
Mhm.
so yeah, that was a big. I mean, I love The Simpsons, but you don't expect it to be one of my favorites of the season of the
Mm.
Christmas season, but it really was. I really enjoyed it. So that's my number 3. What do you have at 2, Terry?
I have A Night Before Christmas at Wonderland. I
It's
agree with
Mm.
everything you guys said. It's so great. It's adorable. I love the animation. It's like I think this might become a yearly watch for me because it's just
Mm.
so much fun and it made me feel like because I really wasn't feeling Christmassy this year. It just this holiday did not hit me well,
yeah.
but it made me feel
Yeah.
like a little kid. Like there was a joy to this movie that it gave me joy. I could really feel it. And
Mhm.
like, if I need to pick me up, I will watch this movie. Like there's just certain scenes that I'll go back to, which I thought was
Mhm.
so hysterical. And this movie is
Yeah.
like too
Mhm.
adorable and I need people to watch it. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have at 2, Michelle?
That's where I put Hot Frosty.
Mm,
I thought this
okay.
was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
awesome.
love Lacey. And I was a little bit nervous for her going
Yeah,
to
me too.
Netflix. Because she's just like such a gem on Hallmark. She's so reliable. But yeah, I thought this was hilarious. Probably the funniest Christmas movie this year for me personally. And I think just like the online reaction, like seeing people on TikTok who don't really know like the Christmas TV world like the way Hallmarkies do, just be like so like taken aback with this movie and
Yeah.
just like this is their unhinged movie and like God love them like they don't know unhinged until they start watching
Yeah.
like yeah like some
I
of the
I
lifetime ones
I
or
was
whatever but yeah
joking that this is that Hot Frosty is everyone's favorite Hallmark movie of 2024, but
Yes,
they don't
yeah
yes.
know it's not a Hallmark movie.
yeah
And there's no way Netflix doesn't have another Lacey movie next year.
yeah yeah
Yeah.
definitely
Well, yeah, I wonder if they're gonna have a Hot Frosty too. Uh,
mhm
because when I was talking to Russell, I was asking him about what is this? Does the sculptor know that he has this power? And what is this
Mm.
scarf? And he was like, I'm keeping
mhm
all of this to myself, and all this stuff.
yeah
And
it's
so
got a whole
it
got
made me
mythology
wonder is like, oh, okay, is because what they could do for Hot Frosty, and I have no inside knowledge at all about this, but just what I would suggest to Russell is I would say that you got to have your snowman maker, your scarf maker make an additional maybe a
mhm
rival snowman, a sculptor thing.
yeah
That could be really funny. And so, there could just be a who knows the end of these snow people. What's
It's
going
true.
on?
Like Netflix, make a Hot Frosty too. I will
yeah
eventually get to these movies, but also get Lacey back and make a bonkers royal movie for
Oh,
mhm
Christmas.
yeah. That could be
Like go back
fun.
to I miss those. Netflix has the
Yeah.
bonker ones. You know.
Well, my number 2 is where I have An Almost Christmas Story. This was on Disney Plus. This was as short as 24 minutes, like a longer short, but it's really cute. It's about this little owl that gets stuck in the tree that gets taken for Rockefeller Center tree.
Mm.
And so he's in New York, and he meets this little girl, and they kind of become friends, and it's got a great voice cast. John C. Reilly is the narrator. Jim Gaffigan is in this, and Natasha Lyonne. It's directed by David Lowery, and it produced by Alfonso Cuarón, so it has like pretty good pedigree, and it has David Lowery's sort of muted color palette and tone. But I just found the whole thing quite charming and enjoyable, and it was really the only thing for Christmas that we got from Disney this year.
Surprising.
So
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
all right, Terry, what do you have at number 1?
Oh, it's the best Christmas pageant ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing was going to top that this year.
Me too. It was so well done. I absolutely just loved the characters, and it was so refreshing to have like a true Christmas movie during the holidays, and that it managed to be so entertaining, but still have this was very true to the book and to the story, and to have the Herdmans kind of encounter the Christmas story for the first time was just so lovely and moving, and everybody kind of changing by the end of it. It was really good.
And I'm so glad that this did well.
Yeah.
It's been in the top 10. It did very well. We didn't have a lot of like theatrically released holiday films, but I'm so glad this one did well because I feel like they took a gamble with it, and it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, and they took some risks. Like they had the Herdmans be pretty bad.
Right. That was refreshing to see. Like they didn't water it down. Like,
yeah, they didn't.
Which they tend to do now in family movies, which is like, okay, like don't worry, kids aren't that fragile. They can handle that. Like,
And I loved Judy Greer in it, and she was really good. And I loved also the fact that when I was talking to the director, Dallas Jenkins, he said that he specifically did not put it in a time period.
Yeah.
Like it feels kind of late 1970s, but not like specific. And so it has that kind of gives it a timeless quality to it.
Yeah.
It was smart.
I kind of didn't know if it was late 70s, early 80s. I felt like it was somewhere.
Yeah.
It did kind of
like
feel
everything.
like, yeah, I did. It was nostalgic to me. Like I felt like it could have been my childhood, like in the early 80s, like that kind of look and aesthetic. Like I think it resonated with me on that level.
Me too. Well, Michelle, what did you have in your number 1?
My number 1 is Black Doves on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely loved this series. I think a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, they released a video with Keira Knightley and Ben Whishaw announcing that they'd been picked up for a season 2.
Oh, nice.
So I'm hoping that's next Christmas. This whole 3-5 year wait for a new season of a TV show
I know.
is
like
exhausting. It is ridiculous.
Netflix, get with the program.
Yeah,
it's true. I haven't gotten to watch Arcane yet, but we've been waiting because I've been so busy with Christmas. But we waited 3 years for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it goes against them a little bit because they just released Squid Game, and I'm going to watch it, but I think they'll just lose momentum when they make you wait so long. But yeah, Black
True.
Doves was absolutely wonderful. Like definitely a fun like alternative thing to watch during the Christmas season, because I think the way they integrate Christmas into it was so genius. I hope they don't ruin a good thing by doing a season 2. But yeah, I highly, highly recommend it if you haven't seen it already.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely one of those shows. I think I watched it, the majority of it, in a day. It's not something you can watch one episode of. You're just going to want to keep going. I thought it's really geniusly crafted, really well written. I thought Sarah Lancashire was a little bit underused, so I think that's something they could maybe improve on in season 2, is have her be a little bit more involved. But yeah, the friendship between Ben Whishaw and Keira Knightley's character was definitely like the star of the show, and something that I will definitely be tuning in for, hopefully next Christmas. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's cool. That was one I missed, but I definitely, if I can find time. It's so hard to find time to watch
Yeah,
series these days.
it's a
Oh
short
my
season.
gosh.
Yeah, I think it's like 8 episodes or something.
Oh, okay,
It's
it's
not
not
like
too
super
bad.
long.
And
Yeah,
that's on Netflix.
it's on Netflix. Yeah.
That's good. Well, very good. Let us know what you think of our picks and what would be your top 5 non-Hallmark Christmas for 2024. We'd love to hear your lists in the comment section or on Twitter. Definitely let us know. And Terry, where can people find you?
I'm at Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And Michelle?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, the Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews 5 stars. It really, really, really helps us a lot. It helps the algorithm a lot. And same if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Most of our listeners are not subscribers, and it really helps us if you do subscribe and like the video. And we have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support us. And we have monthly activities, and we have our Facebook group and other fun stuff. So please check out the Patreon. That's very, very great way you can help us. And then we have the merch store where we have all kinds of fun designs. So take a look at that. And thanks so much. And we wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.